everyone, and welcome to another video and a full week of training. It's been almost a year since I've done one of these, and you lot have not stopped asking, but filming a full week of training around everything else has actually proven pretty difficult and mentally time consuming, so I have put it off for a while. But here we are, staring down the barrel of a big old week as I am into the final 3 weeks or so of my prep for the Celtman Extreme Triathlon, with a lot of that carrying over into things towards the second half of the year as well. For those of you that might not be aware, I am Fergus Crawley. I am what the internet calls, and I now myself call, a hybrid athlete, as I try and balance strength and endurance training concurrently. A few examples to give you if you are not yet aware. One of two people on the planet that have squatted 500 pounds and ran a sub 5 minute mile on the same day. Video for you here, which you're obviously going to watch afterwards because this video is the priority right now. Secondly, played on that same premise and completed a 1200 pound powerlifting total and sub 12 hour Ironman in the same day. Video here. And then played on that same premise again because I'm obviously very much stuck in my own little echo chamber and have very clearly defined a lane for myself to operate within, and completed a 600 kilogram powerlifting total the same day as a sub 6 hour 60 kilometer ultra marathon video just here. So I aim to balance strength and endurance training concurrently. There are a lot of ways you can skin this proverbial cat, but this week I'm going to break down what my week is looking like. It's a little bit more endurance dominant than typical weeks would be, but that's because I'm heading up to Torridon in the northwest of Scotland this week for a recce for the race I have coming up in June. We are going to get to work today with a lower body session. First and foremost, kick off the week as I always do by getting my heaviest, most demanding lifts out of the way into some high intensity work immediately out of the gym. So it's a bad day for my legs, but it's a good day for you to watch me suffer. And as you are going to be watching me suffer, the currency around here, I don't know if you're aware, is likes, subscriptions and comments. So why don't you shower me with riches and like the video. Comment down below with your thoughts, feelings, content suggestions and any queries you may have, as well as please making sure that you have subscribed if you have not yet already. So that is the intro to today's video. We're going to get straight into a lower body session, and I will break down a little bit more around why my week is put together like this as the video unfolds. So why don't I pull up my knee sleeve as a symbol of the session beginning. In fact, I'll probably do the second one, otherwise it's just a bit weird. So 3, 2, 1.
Okay, all right. Add it up.
Quick interlude to give you a bit of a top tip from the trade. Don't crash your bike when you need to regularly use wrist wraps, because the pressure in there is agony. I'm really not enjoying it. And if you're wondering why have I changed wrist wraps, it's because these are softer and I thought that would help. And in reality it just still hurts just as much. So really we should just fix this at the source and not fall off my bike, I think.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so that is lower body session done. We had 2 sets of 2 at 200 kilos, about 440 pounds in freedom units. 3 sets 3, 180 kilos, which were meant to be kind of speedy, but I definitely felt the volume from a 5-hour brick on Saturday just gone. So felt my hips a little bit angry with me, but nonetheless we move on. We move on into 200 for 3 sets of 3 deadlifts, and then stiff leg deadlifts for 3 sets of 12 at 100 kilos. Ordinarily I'd probably do a little bit reverse lunging, a little bit more volume before I go into my sprints or my turbo session as it is this evening, but we are fully in maintenance mode for the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks, just trying to hold on to as much of my strength as I can as we really ramp up the endurance volume, ramp up the specificity. Nature of concurrent training means that sometimes you need to shelve things a little bit to prioritise others, make room for that sort of real adaptation towards the end. I am on a pretty aggressive deficit at the moment as well, so I'm just doing strength work and hypertrophy work to hold on to what I've got rather than expect any real gains, whilst I'm prioritising the endurance work. So as I'm so viciously out of breath, it sounds like I should definitely crack on with some endurance work and see you on the turbo. Okay, and kick off on 9 hammers, which is part of what used to be called the Sufferfest, is now part of Wahoo's system, which is basically a whole load of things that I do not use, plus the Sufferfest and a higher subscription fee. So fantastic, don't you love commercialism? Anyway, I've got a 6-minute warm-up into 9, funnily enough, 9 hammers, just above threshold intervals. This is a pretty brutal session. I've done it loads of times in the past, but it's first time this season that I'm giving it a go. So going into it on heavy legs, which is always displeasant, not a word, unpleasant, displeasing, shall we say. But I am going to crack on as it's actually getting quite late. What is the time? The time is 7:39, so a bit late in the day. I want to get this done straight after my lower body session, just so the fatigue doesn't really set in. But for the time being, I'm going to crack on and leave you in the pleasant and reliable company of a turbo training montage. Alright, done. 3 minutes of recovery, cool down. Heart rate's coming down for about 168, 171 I think it was. I'm blowing. My legs felt really lit up that whole time, but the essence of training like this, and as I've already mentioned, consolidating stresses, something I'll touch upon later in the week, makes it essential. So in terms of getting my volume in for the rest of the week, this is a key part of being able to do that. So happy days. Successful first day of the week training. It is 25 to 9 on Monday the 23rd of May. I have 2 minutes and 26 seconds worth of recovery left, and if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to be left in peace. See you tomorrow. Good morning everyone. So it is Tuesday, funnily enough, as that tends to be what follows Mondays. Upper body session number 1 of the day, swim intervals this evening. I've got some bench pressing, I've got some rowing, I've got some incline pressing, I've got some chin upping, and then I've got some resistance work, which I will show you. But rather than me rambling anymore, why don't we just get right into it. Okay, so top sets on bench complete. 140, 3 plates for 1, as I'm just holding on for dear life by hitting 140 for a single as my main exercise in each bench press session at the moment. 120 for 4x4 back off sets, and I am noticing my ability to sustain strength over sets and volume is decreasing as I'm still in the deficit, losing body fat, and my overall volume on strength work is decreased as I am in maintenance mode with a priority on triathlon. Nonetheless, moving on, I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail tomorrow. Sets of 6, close grip bench press into pendlay rows. And I'm just gonna let the rest of this training session roll. And then once it's done, I will probably see you in the car park of the swimming pool this evening. And swim is done, but I did foolishly forget to give you any sort of brief before I went in there, and even more foolishly, forgot to pick up my SD card from the desk at the office that I've been in all today, so I'm filming this on my phone like a moron. Why invest thousands of pounds in camera equipment when you leave the SD card for them on the desk at the office? Anyway, I don't know. Fool. Nonetheless, session was 15 by 100 meters at under 135 minute per 100 meter pace, and data on the screen for you there with splits sort of just here as well. So fastest rep was 128, slowest rep was 134. Most of them are around 32. The 134 was a little frustrating as I did get caught behind somebody that was perhaps moving a little bit slowly in the fast lane, but I don't have any more right to be there than they do, so I shall not complain. Anyway, it is coming up to 9:05, so it has been a very, very long day. Up early at my desk, into that session that you saw, then in the office all day, got out of there about 7:30, 8, swim done, here I am, heading home. So I'm going to go and watch an episode of Ozark, it's just starting to kick off, and then I'm going to have some dinner, and I'm going to go straight to bed. Simple as that. So I'll see you tomorrow for some bike fitting and some laps around Edinburgh's most iconic extinct volcano, Arthur's Seat. See you then. Wednesday, and I'm in Edinburgh bike fitting. Dougie in the background there, who's been in a few videos recently. And if you want to know how to maintain your bike on a week-by-week basis, then go and watch this video right here. Got the P3X in today to get my position adjusted, get the back disc put back on, which has been up there for a couple of weeks so that Dougie could borrow it, but he didn't have a pump adapter, which I have found and brought in, so it's been sitting there tantalizing him without him being able to use it. Lol. Anyway, I'm getting power meter and shorter cranks put on, so I'm going from 165s to 160s. I'm getting my tri-bars adjusted as we put a new set on and just been playing around with them for the past few weeks. But basically the brief here today is get into as efficient as possible a position for my big key training rides coming up in the next few weeks ahead of the Celtman. Okay, so a whole load of changes made, a whole load of money disappeared, sadly, that is the nature of triathlon, but just behind me there is Arthur's Seat, and it's behind me, no it's not, it's behind you, it's in front of me. Good work, Fergus, obviously a little dehydrated, should probably get to that. Sick, problem solved. Up that way is Arthur's Seat, which is a real popular sort of route for any hilly work that you want to get in Edinburgh. I'm going to do 90 minutes of as many laps as possible. Lots of changes here that I've already talked you through, so I'm excited to see how the 155 cranks end up feeling, not 160s. They didn't have 160s in stock for months, and we actually decided upon reflection 155s would be solid. And I've added 2 more gears on the bottom end of my cassette. So for climbing purposes, this combination hasn't affected the back end, which means that for the Celtman, for the hilly stuff, because I'm on the heavier side, sitting about 92 kilos at the moment, my climbing won't be affected. So I'm gonna head off up this way and see you for 90 minutes of climbing on Arthur's Seat. Okay, 7 laps of Arthur's Seat, and I must admit that was one of the most enjoyable bike rides I've had in a very, very long time. Whether it was the weather, whether it was the fact I just really enjoyed being in amongst Edinburgh in all its glory, testament to why this is one of the best training locations on the planet. This felt like an absolute dream today. Changes we've made, position felt fantastic. So that is just testament to why you should get a bike fit first and foremost, and why you should constantly recalibrate whenever you think position feels a little bit off. I just felt way more open, like oxygen and blood was moving better around my body, and felt much more efficient. So that is a big win. Hopefully that carries us forward into the future. So data on the screen for you just here. Everything moved pretty well, about 30 minutes per lap, I believe. Didn't have my heart rate strap on, left it at home. I was gonna come back into Edinburgh tonight to swim, but I'm gonna postpone that to tomorrow just because I've got quite a lot of work to do this evening now, having spent most of the working day on bike-related activities that have taken longer than anticipated. So I'm gonna get home, it's about 4 p.m. now, crack on with some work, have some dinner, get to bed, and then tomorrow have a full body session in the morning, a swim at lunchtime, and then Pentlands, which are the hills local to me, in the evening. But given it's been so pleasant, I actually might come and do a few laps of Arthur's Seat on my feet tomorrow evening rather than the Pentlands. Let's find out. How exciting. See you tomorrow. Happy Thursday, one and all. Don't have a watch on, so I can't give you the exact time, but it's coming up to about 7:30 in the morning, and I'm about to kick off session number 1 of 3 today, as this week has turned into chaos, and the rest of today is looking pretty bleak. I have this session to do, I have 2 others to do, as well as a whole lot of work to get squared away before the weekend, and a whole load of admin and packing for 4 days of training up in Torridon. And if anyone that trains triathlon or has watched videos up until this point will know the amount of admin, kit packing, attention to detail, final bits that go with that are a pain in the arse. So I am dreading all that packing that is to come today. I have some safety bar squats, some incline dumbbell pressing, some dumbbell seal rows, and some other stuff that I'll put on the screen as I go. But I am on my own today, no glamorous assistant to hold the camera for me. So what I will do is crack on and go through things set by set and put the sort of session detail up on the screen as we go. And then I will let the rest of the day unfold before your very eyes. Safety bar squats. One of the best contraptions Black Box has ever made, the pivot. And it makes me feel especially like a seal when doing seal rows. $1,001, 1,002, 1,000. Oh, didn't see you there. Where you will see me is at the swimming pool tonight, as that's me done. Okay, slight change of plan as I'm currently sat at the foot of the Pentlands about to head up and down. It is 7:10 p.m. and after that full body session this morning, today's completely ran away with me. Had a call at 9:30, then a call at 10:30, and I was going to get into the office before my call at 12:30, but things just got in the way, a few follow-ups to get on with, etc. So didn't head into the office today, just worked from home, and that meant that to get into swim this evening, to then get back out here, to go up and down the Pentlands, to also get home, to be able to effectively pack and get a good night's sleep, became untenable. So the swim session that was meant to be done yesterday, that I pushed to today, is off the card, but I will make up for it with an additional open water swim on Sunday, so that the total swimming frequency for the week is still ticked off, but just means drills in the pool are less high on the priority order list for me today than a good night's sleep and making sure I've packed effectively is. Because if you forget anything up in Torridon, you have forgotten it. There is no resupply opportunity. There is zero infrastructure up there. So if you've forgotten it, it is not with you, plain and simple. There are no options. You are done for, I'm afraid. So I'm going to head up now. Brief is basically around an hour, sort of threshold, but I am pretty pressed for time because I've got a lot to do when I get home. So I'm going to aim for 2 peaks, up, down, up, and back, basically, and see how I get on. But I will take you along for the ride. So why don't I see you up there? Windy, very, very windy. I think I'm actually just gonna put the GoPro away and crack on here, because there's a lot of footage of this video. You've all seen me bash about the Pentlands an awful lot before. Just had an error message on my GoPro. SD card packed it in. So politely, you're not getting any footage of this run. I'll see you back at the car. Okay, and job done, back at the car. So, extremely windy beyond a certain point. There's a crest where you just sort of come out over the top and it's just like boo in your face. And today's boo was extremely intense, to the point where I wasn't even confident in my footing on down hills. So just turned around at peak number 1 and then came back here. So data on the screen for you just here, a little bit less than planned, but I've got 3 huge training days ahead of me, so far from the end of the world. I'm a bit gassed because I went for a segment at the end there, which is called the final stretch, and I'm now sitting in 8th all time, which is progress. But Stephen Gregg, king of the mountain, king of the segment, I'm coming for you. You will fall one of these days, although it is like 2:29 minute per kilometre pace for almost 300 metres, so pretty fast, pretty fast. Anyway, that is Thursday. SD card, I am praying is not completely goosed, because that means that all the footage I filmed on it today as part of a full week of training will be a little bit redundant, because filming a full week of training without having filmed the full week of training then means that the full week of training is in fact not a full week of training, if you're catching my drift. So that is Thursday boxed off. Fingers crossed the SD card has survived. I will see you tomorrow up in Shieldag. On Friday, we hit up the Balloch na Bar, which is one of the most notoriously difficult climbs in the UK, and we had a good time. But if you want to see how that unfolded, head to this video on the screen here in full. See you in Shieldag for a swim. Okay, post Bielek, and we are heading to collect a kayak so that Craig can kayak alongside me, as he doesn't want to get in the cold water. No real reason, as he's not doing the Celtman this year, to be fair, so I don't blame him. But I'm going to get in the water today and test a theory, which is that I am significantly quicker in the water without booties and neoprene gloves on. So I'm going to go bare hands, bare feet, but have my neoprene cap on and see how I get on. So in terms of data, there's no real brief in terms of how much distance I want to cover. I'm just going to get in, see how long I last, and ideally get out and around the island, which I've heard is about 2k. Water temperature is about 12 degrees, so I'm going to feel it, but it's whether I can maintain that and just crack on. And there's obviously the equation of getting out of the water into transition, how cold my feet are going to be on the bike, how cold my hands are going to be on the bike, how long it's going to take to settle. So this is a bit of an experiment. I'm swimming again on Sunday morning, so if this goes horribly, I'll just get into the neoprene gloves and boots and compare time and feel and make a decision on how I want to approach things. So let's see how I get on. Alright, so I spent about 25 minutes in the water, not even really sure how far I covered, but it was more of a fight and less of a swim, as it was very, very choppy. So I think the biggest takeaway there is I spent about 20 minutes thinking, yeah, cold's okay, I'll be able to manage this for the whole thing. And then my hands really started to fan out, my feet started to go really, really quite numb. And I think the cold just got to me a little bit. So that means I think the plan between now and race day is going to be spending more time, more frequency in the open water, maybe even getting my neoprene gloves on in the pool, just to get used to that feel and that stroke and the change that comes from having the neoprene gloves on, so that I can make everything as specific between now and then. But just back at the house now, so I'm going to get some food on board, get to bed. Big day out on the bike tomorrow, so I will see you then. Okay, so day 2 up in Torridon, and we're at the Ben A Visitor Centre, about to embark upon a 170km Kinlochewe to Kinlochewe loop, which is the full loop minus the 30km from Shieldig to Kinlochewe of the Celtman bike course. Behind me we have Erin and the dogs in support car with track pump, additional food, layers, etc., as we will have on race day itself. Also got Craig behind me, who did the race last year in about 13 hours and 15 minutes, the animal. He's going to be my support runner on the day as well, so we can talk shop, strategy, etc. today. But we're just trying to make this as effective a training session ahead of race day itself as possible. So sitting at race pace in my tri-suit, trying to get all my strategy, all my nutrition nailed, etc, etc. Politely, the purpose of today, the purpose of this weekend is much more training focused, effective, critical training focused than it is YouTube cinematic video making focused. So politely, I'm going to take you on the journey with me, but it's not going to be a complete 170km, every kilometre, bit by bit breakdown. It's going to be a bit of a video montage showing you the scenes, but you're just going to have to look forward to the Celtman video itself to see it in all its glory. So I'm going to get on the bike and head off that way for 170km, Kinlochewe to Kinlochewe. Let's see you along the way. Craig's just having some snacks. First 20k bang on done, and everything is feeling very smooth, and even psychologically in comparison to last time I've done that big hill there, the 2 times I've done it before, that just felt a lot more smooth and a lot more like, oh, I can keep going here, rather than, oh, I want it to end, everything's horrible. So crank change, position change definitely made a big difference, but ultimately the equation now is making the most of the time that I've got
at the body weight that I am, about 91, 92 kilos, because there's a huge trade-off in terms of watts versus hills and body weight. It's pretty harsh in the favor of being lighter. So today is just about learning where to really nail my position, where to really scale back, get some food on board, get some water on board, and just take it easy, get through that section, and then when really to crank it down, get in position and just work really hard. So gonna make some mental notes along the way and get that bank so that when it comes to race day, strategy is clear. Desperately need to re-chamois cream myself in certain specific regions. Quick pit stop, Biscoff Millionaire Shortbread, flat white from this little spot here. Excellent setting for a snack. C'est fini! Data on the screen for you just here. 15 kilometers short than originally planned, just because we faffed about a little bit too much this morning. A few stops along the way where I had to re-chamois cream, taking the view, etc, etc, all that stuff, which means that if we didn't finish up now, we wouldn't be able to make our dinner booking, and as this is the Highlands, they're very strict on when you need to be there, and if we're not there on time, then we have no access to food this evening because the infrastructure is so limited up here. So I will do a bit of a debrief at the end of the video on how this weekend has gone as a whole, but that is data on the screen for you just there, as I've said. 155k, basically just below race pace, everything feeling very smooth, very solid. Wind was interesting today. I'd say this was a slow day on the course, but again, I'll do a bit more of a debrief in the next 24 hours or so. So I will see you tomorrow for my second swim and a trip up Benet. Adios. We've made it to Sunday, and I'm not actually recording this on Sunday, as on said Sunday, when I woke up, I felt like I'd been hit by a bus, and quite frankly, just wanted to crack on with the rest of the day and the rest of the weekend up in the Northwest Highlands. Do you hear that? It's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop, it's the sound of the beast. Anyway, the intelligent amongst you might have been able to ascertain that I have joined the team at Whoop, which is very exciting for me, as well as very exciting for you, as you can get your first month for free through the link in the description down below. And please do use it, as it does the channel a massive solid. Thank you very much in advance, much appreciated. Just going to give you a bit of an overview of where I found the benefits of this bad boy for the past couple of months. I will be doing a video breaking down where it fits into my lifestyle alongside Garmin as an activity tracker, some broader considerations, etc, etc. But for now, I bought in here a few months ago because things have become so chaotic the past 6 months or so that managing business, managing myself, managing my own mental health, managing training, there's so many variables going on. I'm just trying to get my own house in order as much as I can to understand what's going on a daily basis and to make more informed decisions around how I can get the best out of myself on a daily basis. You've heard me speak about circadian rhythm, you've heard me speak about Human 24 a lot in terms of optimizing my day-to-day existence, and this is another data point, another piece of information as part of a broader ecosystem of considerations for me to take on board to make better decisions on how I recover, how I perform, how I get on with my day cognitively. So looking at, does training past a certain time in the evening affect my recovery and my sleep? Does eating past a certain time in the evening affect my recovery and my sleep? How well am I sleeping if it's X temperature, or if I've had a beer, or all these things going on? If I've had a stressful day, how do I recover the next day? So it's not affecting how I'm programming my training, but it is affecting the decisions that I make outside of training from a lifestyle point of view in terms of overall recovery. And I think it's important to mention that this isn't the holy gospel of recovery. This isn't the sort of be all and end all. This is one excellent, reliable piece of information that you can get through your phone to help you make more informed decisions. So the data is only as good as the actions that you take from it. And I've really enjoyed taking action on a few key points that I've been able to isolate through the data from Whoop so far. So I say again, I will do a more detailed breakdown of what I love about it, what Garmin covers that Whoop doesn't, and what Whoop covers that Garmin doesn't, etc. in the weeks to come. But for the time being, please do use the link down below. and I am very, very impressed with this thing so far, and it has made my life a lot easier. But with that in mind, this was my recovery score when I woke up on Sunday morning, so it is no wonder that I felt a bit groggy and just wanted to crack on with my day. So I went into the water for 30 minutes of easy swimming. As it was still really choppy and windy, I didn't actually take any Garmin or tracker because I just wanted to go on feel. I didn't want to see that my data was slow and then make me worried about my race pace when the day came along, because we're swimming in the wrong direction, we're swimming at the wrong time of the day. So all it was going to do is affect me psychologically. So I thought, get in, half an hour easy swimming, just feel your way through it, feel your way through the lake, wrestle with some jellyfish, and then crack on. And that is what we did. And then we went along to Ben A, said hello to Callum, and cracked on up the high course of the Celtman. So I will see you there. Hello, Callum. So that is Callum, who is a local here. He was actually here last time that we were here doing our recce, and he basically lives at this car park and has done for several years. So we are at the foot of Ben A. We are going from T2B to T2A here to go through the high course. So just going to crack on. It should take us about 3 hours moving time, give or take, depending on what pace we move at. Aiming to just sort of get up and down and crack on, because it's about -5 Celsius at the top. But brief is just find our feet, get some volume in, get some technical trails underground, and then just, yeah, keep the aerobic volume up going into 3 weeks ago yesterday is race day. So kind of just going through the motions at this point, but I will take you along the way with us. So I will see you at T2A of the race itself, or the foot of Ruislak Moor. All right, 10.5 minute jog, 2k from T2B to T2A. This is T2A, where if you go back on my video recapping last year, you'll see this is the point where I missed the high course by 11 minutes. So this year's aim is to get here within 11 hours, obviously subject to weather, subject to all the challenges, subject to everything going well in between then. So fingers crossed that's what happens, but there are a lot of variables in a race like this, so I'm here today to practice, get confident in the high course, and see what goes on. So we are heading up that way, into the clouds, where the visibility looks like it's going to be poor. Poles at the ready, confidence at the ready. I think we're good to go. Let's see you up there. Rain started, winds picked up, temperatures dropped, so waterproofs are on, gloves are on. Shorts stay on for now. The rugby player in me never dies. Peak number 1 of 2. The actual Munro itself is just up that way, that's Ruislak Moor. But this is the point where you do your final dib in, where you need to make a cut off of about 145, I think it is, from the bottom to here, and then you can crack on. So that is most of the elevation done. Very, very windy now. I am going to make the unfortunate but highly, highly sensible decision to cover my legs. Then we're going to crack on that way to Ben A, down the scree, past the lock-in, all the way down back to where we parked. Don't fall. Not a good day for terrible visibility, really, given that that is about 2,500 feet of nothingness before you hit the floor. Okay, so this here is the scree slope. So you would have come down there, just as we have, and then you would head up this way to Ben A. But given that it's so windy, wind chill is having it at -5, and you can't see anything, it's not particularly difficult, you just come the slope, and then you come back here. So we're just going to head down here. Scree is very, very slow. I'm not sure if you can quite. Okay, so at this point, my GoPro decided to pack in. I replaced the battery, and within 15 seconds, that battery decided to pack in. So another expense incoming. Thank you very much, GoPro, but that is a pain in the arse. But it did mean that I was freed up to just crack on with the rest of the run and not have to worry about filming any of it. So I'm going to keep this short and sharp because this has been a long video, but I finished up the day with the run up Ben A. Data on the screen for you here. So Sunday ended up being a relatively non-demanding day. 30 minutes easy swim just to feel my way through the water, and then Ben A with the data just there, as I've said. Overall, it's been a big week. I'm going to keep this short and sharp as a summary because you've seen it all unfold. Me summarising it again isn't going to do much benefit, but that is really one of my highest volume weeks ahead of the Celtman. It's difficult to balance strength and endurance training because the fatigue relationship between the two of them is somewhat unpredictable depending on the individual. Obviously, I have a good understanding of how to put things together for myself, but it does mean that I can't get away with as much volume on an endurance side of things in the same way I can't get away with as much volume on the strength side of things, because the two compromise the adaptation of one and the other. So I am willing to accept that one will inhibit the other, but it doesn't mean that I can't progress in both concurrently. So that is how the week has looked. At this point, we were 3 weeks out from the Celtman, so it was great to get an experience up in that weekend. Very, very stressful week all in with business, travel, lots of training to make work. And to be perfectly honest, filming this video was challenging. I really couldn't be bothered picking up a camera, talking to a camera, working, filming into an already busy day at certain points. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. It does make it all worth it. And yeah, just something to make clear, I think, is just how much sometimes filming these videos does get in the way of training. So I hope you're all very appreciative and do like the video with a thumbs up immediately and comment down below. And make sure that you've subscribed, as that would be very nice. But again, we will put a summary of total amount of sessions for the week just here. We'll put a total amount of time spent training just here. And I'm not going to put weekly volumes, as some of the data wasn't even tracked. But that's how things are looking. That is a week of training when balancing strength and endurance training for the Celtman Extreme Triathlon is looking. Strength work is a little bit on the back foot, as I already mentioned, but we are moving in the right direction and holding on to pretty much everything. So that is that. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, once again, make sure that you have liked the video, comment down below, and that you have already subscribed. The holy trifecta of things you should be doing on YouTube when watching my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I will bid you one final farewell and see you next time.